Hey guys, and welcome to this episode of Your Business in HD. If you guys are just joining me live, drop me a hashtag live. If you catch this on the replay, hashtag replay. Today we're going to talk about how not using human design in your business could actually cost you. And I'm super excited to talk about this topic because I feel like a lot of times when we're talking about new tools that we use with our business, that we use with our marketing, it's all through the lens of like, it can help you with this and it can help you do this. But how about it's a different way to shift at looking at through the lens of what happens if you do not start implementing some of these things. Like, what would the outcome be if you didn't dive a little bit deeper into your human design in your business. So that is what we are going to talk about today. If you're hopping on live with me, hashtag live. If you're coming on the replay, hashtag replay. Let me know how things are going where you're at. I am in Michigan and we are actually getting our first snowstorm rolling in here right off of the Great Lakes. I'm on the west side of the state by the lake. Actually like 15 minutes from the lake. So lake effect snow is, that snow machine is kicking in and my kids are secretly hoping for a snow day tomorrow. All right, so let's dive in. So how not using your human design in your business could actually cost you. So what does this mean? I want to tell you about a particular scenario. So let's say, I talk with a lot of entrepreneurs, I connect with a lot of entrepreneurs, and I end up talking to them a lot more in depth about like human design and how it can help in your business. So let's just say for this specific scenario, this particular client, this particular scenario, is a coach, busy mom. And the biggest thing that she was struggling with was how that feeling of burnout with the content creation. So I don't know about you, but if you have in your business, if you have had to create like your social media content, any long form, like any email content, blog posts, live videos, those things, the pressure to create is definitely there. And if you are kind of in that phase of your business where you're still writing all of that for yourself, like this is a thing that I hear quite often is that like we get burned out because the pressure is there to create all the time, but not all of us are designed necessarily to do their content creation in a certain way, like in a box per se. So this particular client, she was just basically busy with her business, busy with her family. She's a coach. She's got one-on-one clients. She's got a group program. She's got some courses on the side. So she's really focused on growing that business, and content creation was a thing where maybe earlier on in her business, she had time for it, but now as she's trying to balance like the growth of her business and still keep up and maintain that content creation for that visibility factor in her business, the biggest thing was she was starting to lose motivation with showing up consistently for her marketing. And she was ultimately getting stuck in her own creative process. So talking through some things and working with her like through my signature process of basically taking human design and using human design as a lens through which we then can apply towards creating a creation system that worked for her, she was able to walk away with a plan in her hands that kind of worked really well for her, but also this internal like permission to do things her own way versus to do things the way that everybody else on social media was telling her to do. Because just because you see one person posting content, showing up in stories, going live, podcasting, all YouTube videos, all of it can be so overwhelming. And we're always bombarded with these messages of do it this way, do it that way, create this, show up every day. You have to do reels. You have to go live. Not every single one of us is meant to do things in a box. We're not designed per se to do things, to follow a checklist or to do somebody else's system that worked for somebody else, but may not work for us. So this is just walking you through the process of what we did and talked about to help, maybe if this is something you're struggling with, to help you get unstuck as well. So if you're just hopping on and if you're brand new to me and this is the first live you've caught from me on this page, Thank you so much for joining me. A little bit about myself. My name is Jen Dice, and I am a human design and aligned business coach for entrepreneurs. So I predominantly work with female online entrepreneurs, and I help them get crystal clear on their next level marketing steps so that they know how to basically ditch the shoulds in their business so that they can create systems, marketing, and show up for their business and for their people and for their audience in a way that gives them more purpose and also allows them to create more profit in their business. So welcome. Thank you for joining me. And again, if you're on live, hashtag live. If you're on replay, hashtag replay. So reviewing what we're talking about today, how not using human design in your business could be costing you. So with this particular client, again, she was just getting stuck in the creation process, and that feeling of being stuck somewhere, there's a resistance that was coming up. And ultimately, if you try to just keep pushing through that resistance, doing the same things that maybe were not working to help you get unstuck, to help kind of make things a little bit more fluid for you, you're going to keep butting up into that resistance. And then ultimately what that could do is kind of, when you decrease your motivation to show up, which she was having trouble with her motivation and trying to maintain and show up consistently for her people, that's where you run the risk of actually not showing up. And ultimately that can impact the results that you're getting, your visibility overall as a business owner. So what did we talk about? What did we do? One thing that I asked her, and I want you guys to ask yourself, is where is that resistance? So if you're feeling that too, especially with like content creation, that's what we're talking about with this particular scenario. So if you're in your content creation process, you have to sit down to write a social media post, you have to create a video, you have to show up in some way, shape, or form for your business this week, and you're feeling some of that resistance come up, like where is that resistance coming from? And I asked her that, and the reason this is important is when you start to ask yourself where, okay, instead of just saying, I'm feeling this resistance, but I'm going to keep kind of plowing through. When you ask yourself where, what that does is it helps you understand, like create awareness as to actually where it's coming from, right? Because so you're opening yourself up to creating more awareness of the process that you're walking through and that you're going through. And it's almost like if you want to visualize, like think of like it's like a toy train on the tracks, like one of those electric trains, and you have to get the tracks just right so that the train can go around in a circle and stay going consistently without flying off the tracks, right? So picture like a toy train on the train tracks hitting resistance. So that's where, if you want that train to keep going around smoothly and getting that momentum going on the tracks, you have to know where that resistance is coming from, because if you keep going in that circle and you keep hitting that resistance, that's when you have awareness, you can kind of hone in and focus on exactly where that resistance is coming from. So that's why it's important. The second thing I want you to ask yourself, and that I asked her, is where are you are you feeling drained with certain activities in your business? So it's easy for us to put things under a bigger umbrella. So instead of saying like, I'm not really sure, I just don't like doing this, or I just don't like being on video, or I just don't like writing these posts, I just don't like whatever it is, we tend to just say, well, I just don't like doing it that way. But when you ask yourself, okay, where specifically is that resistance? And then you start to kind of dive into that resistance, and it's like, where within that are you feeling more of that draining feeling? Like, is there a specific task that is causing you to feel a little bit more drained? So one example I like to give is it's like if in the terms of like content creation, I was a blogger for a while. It was like the first thing that I did when I came into the online space was I had a blog. So I had a routine where I was sitting down and I was writing content. And this was back before like Instagram was a thing. This is back before Pinterest. This was a while ago when you could rank on Google, and blogging and SEO were a completely different like scene back then. But the system was, you showed up, you wrote your content, and you posted it, and you tried to rank for certain keywords, and then you would monetize it through ads or through AdSense. But it was based on how you ranked for SEO. But that was the process, was sitting down, writing, and showing up. Today, for myself, I know that I cannot, for the life of me, sit down to write a long form blog post every single week. Why? Because I have learned that I'm going to have more resistance if I try to go about creating a blog in that format versus something like this, where I can get on video and I can talk through my thoughts. I can talk it out loud with you guys that are joining me live. And then from that video, the ideas kind of come through and I walk through my talking points, and then I can create the written piece of content that goes with that, because the ideas flow from my brain out into the world so much easier for me doing it in this format. So that's why it's like, instead of just saying, well, I'm not creating content. I just hate doing it. Well, it's like, is there a certain reason, like, where are you getting some of that resistance coming up? Number one. And then what tasks related to that is feeling draining? This is important because when you identify what is draining you, you're identifying what is taking your energy away from other things. So if you go back to that train analogy, that train hitting resistance, it's almost like when you hit the resistance, that drained feeling is like the train actually coming off of the tracks. And so that's where you might hit the resistance with the train and it could keep going, but it's always going to kind of slow down a little bit when it hits that resistance. But if you start to feel drained by some of the things that you're doing, eventually that train is going to like hit the resistance and fly off the tracks. And that means you're likely going to stop showing up. So that's the third question I asked. And I want you to ask yourself, like, where are you not showing up? Where are you shrinking back? Where are you stepping back from taking action and from doing things in your business to show up, to maintain that visibility? Because when you like start to get inconsistent with showing up, that's going to start to affect your consistency with it, like, again, your visibility and people seeing you, and also start being able to nurture them, for them to be able to get to know you, to like you, to trust you. When you're not showing up, that's ultimately going to be the factor that costs you the results on the back end, because that train is off the tracks. And that's why it's really important to kind of ask yourself that question, is like, where am I like stepping back? Where am I not showing up? Because that's where the train is off the tracks, laying on the ground. And now I have to figure out how I'm going to get that train set up right back on the tracks, because as long as that train is laying there off the tracks, it's not going to get momentum. It's not going to get to its destination. And that's going to cost you in the end those results. So for her as a coach, like, visibility is a big thing and a big factor in bringing people in, especially with the launches that she was doing, the social media content that she's putting out there, the programs that she was working on filling every so often in her business, and the client base that she was continuing to maintain in her business. Like, social media is a part of her overall marketing strategy. So for her not showing up or feeling drained like that, that's how that cost comes into play. Because it's easy to say, well, I'm not feeling inspired today, so I'm just not going to show up. And one day I'm saying not saying that's a bad thing. It's okay. But if you do that over and over and over again, and you let that train just kind of sit off the track, like, how much energy is it going to take to pull and pick that train back up and set it back on its track and send it back around again, only to hit the same resistance if you're not actually focusing on where that resistance is coming from? And that's ultimately what we do when we look through the lens of human design in your business and in your marketing, is we get that lens and we look at that point on the track of, okay, there's something right here on this train track that is causing resistance and is causing the train to go flying off the tracks. And we don't want history to keep repeating itself, because we want that train to get back on the track, and we want that momentum to build slowly, so that we don't have to, again, really use that energy to re-engage the people on our social media, to get back into that routine and that habit of showing up consistently. We want that train to be a well-oiled machine that just continues to flow and go on the train tracks without flying off on a regular basis. So that's why, looking through the lens of her human design, we were able to figure out a better way for her to be able to show up without, and kind of filtering out the noise that is coming in from all of the like social media and all of the, you have to be everywhere and you have to do a million different things. And maybe it's looking at that point of just saying, okay, here's my plan. Here's what I can do. Here's what feels good for me. And here is, if I want to be more present beyond this, I'm going to have to look at oh, how can I delegate? How can I outsource that? And that's a big piece, especially with some human design types. Looking at that delegation, looking at where you can get that support. There are certain like when you're looking at your human design, it's going to help you understand like where your zone of genius is and where you can hone in and where you can be more present and where you can focus more on delegating if you want to continue to build and grow and be more and more visible. Like that's the other piece too. But basically the biggest thing is using your lens of your human design to create more of that flow of that train staying on the tracks, so you continue to show up more consistently and be visible for your people, and continue to nurture them without the shoulds, without feeling like you have to, without feeling burned out, without feeling drained. And that is how we combine your human design with your marketing in your business. That's just one example. So I hope that was helpful for you guys. So remember, if you're also in that same boat where it's like you're looking at your content calendar, you're looking at like creating content, you're looking at what do I talk about this week? How do I frame it? Like I'm just not feeling it anymore. Like that's where you're looking at asking yourself those questions of like, okay, number one, like where is there resistance? Because that resistance is likely going to lead to some other underlying frustrations. And ultimately that's going to lead to you feeling drained. And ultimately when you're feeling drained, and if you just kind of let that go, that's what's going to cause you to let things go and not show up, which is going to impact your visibility and ultimately cost you people that could have seen you or might have seen you or are missing out on seeing you because you're creating more of this pattern of not being consistent versus working towards ways that you can maintain and stay consistent through your content in a way that works for you. So if this was helpful, let me know, drop a comment below. If you're on live, #live. If you're catching the replay, #replay. Thank you so much for joining me today. And if this was valuable at all, I'm going to drop a link in the comments of this post. And there's also a link in my bio. If you have questions and you're ready to get started on using your human design in your business and in your marketing, click the link. We can continue the conversation there. There's a free gift for you in that link. Grab it while it's still free. And if you have questions related to your specific human design, hit reply to the email that will send you the gift. Hit reply to any email from me, and I am more than happy to answer your questions so that you can start working on leveraging your human design in your business and in your marketing to create more purpose and more profit in your business. All right, so I will see you guys next week, and we will chat more about human design in your business in HD. All right, bye guys.